So the geometry node, it looks like the material editor because it's a node editor, but it's actually work as a modifier. So you could go to modifiers, you could go to add modifier geometry nodes, and now you have a geometry node. And to actually see it, we could split out. You could change any one of these panes, but we could split this out and switch this to geometry nodes. And you have the geometry node modifier on here, but it doesn't actually create one until you press new either here or here. So let's press it here. And then you have geometry nodes, which you could change the name here. Mine, for example. And we'll change the name there. They correspond to each other. To delete this, you could click on the X here. But what actually it does, it makes a 0 next to it. So we could actually reselect it and it will bring it back up in here. And pressing X in here is the same thing. It will unlink the data, which will basically set the users to 0. That's why right now you don't see a 0 because it's assigned. If you click on it, you'll see a 0, which means that when you delete the file, or it doesn't save with the file. So the next time you open the file, it shouldn't be there. But if you actually want to delete it, you could go to your outliner, click on, right, by default, the outliner is in display modes and view layer. That's what you see here. If you go down to Blender file, and you scroll down to node groups, you have right now a 0. That's the one I just created. You could click on that and you could press delete or right click. Well, if you press delete, you have to actually not in here. You have to right click on this and choose delete like that. And it'll actually delete it. So now if you click here, you won't see it here and you won't see it here at all. Just remember to go back to view layer here. And I'm going to create a new geometry node that's in here. I'm just going to talk about the standard group input and group output. So if you ever used other node-based systems like Houdini or now Maya, and Maya has Bifrost, and there's also, I mean, even their node editor, Maya itself is just node editor, but they have like Bifrost to have this input and output. If you have to use XSI or Softimage back in the day, they had ICE. And 3ds Max have a node editor as well that's very similar to this. But what this does is basically a modifier that when you have a group input, the geometry takes the input of what we have on here of a geometry. Depending on what you have, you could have points, you could have curved point clouds. And whatever you have in the edit mode, whatever is done in here is going to be passed through and go to the group output. And in between, you're modifying the input and the output. Before, all the other modifiers you have when you go to add modifiers and then you're adding all these modifiers, they have an input and output, but inside is a black box. You just have basically values that change. In here, if you're going to expose a value, you would connect it out here, then it will be exposed. And the same thing for the group output. You could put values out there that could be used, such as UV maps, UV sets, and things like that. Now, with that being said, the difference before why geometry nodes is pretty powerful is that before you need to use plugins or add-ons to basically have this effect. So for the last like 25 years before having visual nodes, you would have to use like C++ or Python to do this. Now you can do it visually.
And if some parts of this felt a little too fast, or you're not quite confident using the tools just yet, that's totally okay. The 3D Character Accelerator was made to fix that problem fast. If you're a complete beginner, we walk you through everything step by step so you can create portfolio-ready 3D character models in just 14 days, even if you've never used Blender before. If you're already a bit more experienced, this program will help you sharpen your workflow, learn faster ways to sculpt and render, and create characters that actually stand out online. You'll find the link in the description. Check it out, see if it's a good fit, and decide from there. Thanks again for watching. Hope you learned something new, and I'll see you in the next one. If you found this helpful, give it a like, drop a comment to share your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe. Enable notifications to stay updated on future videos.